Hello, everyone. Ron Gerber here from Angelbeat. I'm downstairs in our Angelbeat basement of my TV studios. You can see behind me our Angelbeat banner. Justin, who's the head of channels at Splashtop, obviously he's not in the corporate office. He's in his home with lots of holiday cheer behind him. I've known Justin for a while. We both work for companies who have interesting names. Angelbeat, you may not think of security at just when you hear the name. Splashtop, it may not be normally associated with security and remote access, but I think after listening to the short video blog interview, you'll hear more about it. So Justin, just to kick it off, why don't you just share with the Angelbeat community, the social media community out there, your background and give a high-level overview of Splashtop.
Sure thing, Ron, sure thing. And Ron, thanks for having me. Sure. Nice to meet all of you here in a virtual format. But yeah, as Ron indicated, I'm the channel chief here at Splashtop for the Americas, so both North, South, as well as Central America. Been with Splashtop for a few months. Prior to that, I was part of the channel team at Zadara. Prior to that, I was the national channel manager for an organization called Cloudistics. And prior to that, over 10 years, almost a little past a decade, with a systems integration firm, Alliance Technology Group, out of Hanover, Maryland. But as mentioned, have been with Splashtop here for a few months. Kind of high level who we are, what we do at Splashtop is remote access, remote workforce, distance learning solutions, right? So Splashtop, we've been in business as Splashtop since 2011, but going back a little bit further from that, our founders are actually four friends who actually met at MIT. They started a company called Device VM, which is a way to quickly access and get to Windows XP. They pivoted to remote access in 2010, and Splashtop was born in 2011.
Wow. So it's interesting when you say you just joined Splashtop, because I imagine the thinking that went into your mind. Obviously, Justin's got a wealth of experience in high demand, but the decision you're making in terms of joining Splashtop is not that much different from an IT professional trying to determine, should I buy Splashtop and deploy it to my workforce? Maybe you could share with the audience a little bit of your internal decision making, because on one hand, you're deciding where to spend your career with, obviously, again, very highly regarded, well-experienced individuals. That decision making is not unlike a CIO debating whether or not their organization should issue a PO to Splashtop.
Yeah, excellent point, Ron. So prior and full candor, 5 months ago, I didn't even know who Splashtop was, right? But I started looking at the way business is today, remote access, working from home, as we have been here for 18 months or so now. And I started hearing some kind of stats about Splashtop, and I was like, Justin, this is a choice and this is a decision from your career that I think makes a lot of sense. The first stat that kind of drew me to Splashtop was 85% of the Fortune 500 companies globally actually have Splashtop. Wow. Then you look at the Splashtop NPS score, Net Promoter Score, is the highest in industry at 93%, which means 93% of Splashtop customers, people like Toyota, Disney, Harvard University, Virginia Tech, so on and so forth, like Splashtop, plan to keep Splashtop, upgrade it, and/or would suggest it to colleagues and friends. So those were the two big stats that kind of drew me to Splashtop. And then I started looking a little bit more about where Splashtop has success in vertical-wise, some of our performance advantages over some of the competition, and how we truly enable the workforce, whether that is a student, whether that's a teacher, or even an IT help desk guy or girl, really kind of have that same experience anywhere. And that's not changing anytime soon.
Oh, I see you've done your due diligence before you accepted their offer.
I like to think I did, but sure, there was definitely some other offers on the table, but to be able to come to Splashtop, an exciting product that's been really capturing a lot of mind share, and now really to be able to do so in a very traditional channel role, I'm definitely very thankful for.
Good. And I'm sure a lot of your previous channel partners are just constantly contacting you because of the demand for this. When people hear about terms like remote access, work from home, endpoint protection, centralized desktop management, lots of buzzwords that have real validity in IT, could you maybe position Splashtop in a sector that has lots of companies in there and distinguish how it complements Microsoft Remote Desktop, how it works with endpoint hardware, be it Chromebooks or thin clients or laptops, et cetera. Just keep a little bit of the lay of the land.
Sure. So I would say in layman's terms, Splashtop, we give the ability for our customers, whether that is IT help desk, as in the case of such as Virginia Tech, or even students, the ability to have the same experience they have sitting at home as they would, in a sense, in the classroom, for example. So a student traditionally would have to access that very high powerful GPU workstation, that lab at the college, at the university. We give that same experience to them at home. Engineer, in the case again of Virginia Tech, where they traditionally would go out and physically touch all these devices, do the patches, the upgrades. Now through our features, they have the ability to do that. A really nice thing, and you mentioned Chromebooks, Ron, is our technology gives our customers the ability to go from an Android device to a Mac to a PC to a Chromebook. So really, Splashtop is really generating that remote access hybrid workforce that customers are expecting these days.
It seems like education is one of your sweet spots as vertical markets. And I guess it makes sense given all the students suddenly had to go remote. So I'm sure all the demand for Splashtop in education. Do you also see that your experience in SLED and education is helping you now deal with corporate environments, non-educational markets who are dealing with similar dynamics? Because again, employees remotely or employees somewhat at the office, which is somewhat like watching a lecture in a school building, you still have to deliver the same experience to them, be it in a college dorm or at their home office. 100%.
So I would say education is definitely our number one vertical. We have tons of customers SLED-wise, whether that may be community colleges, big universities, Harvard University, USC, so on and so forth, to even community colleges and individual schools using Splashtop. The second area that we are having a lot of success in, vertical-wise, is media and entertainment. We actually helped a lot of movie studios, actually, for one example, actually do voiceovers for all their cartoons that they were filming last year, when all the actors and voiceover guys and girls were actually working from home. So we have a really good story to tell around media entertainment, partly because we have very low latency. We also can produce up to 60 frame rates per second. So when you talk about all the media entertainment, sports industry, news stations, that is very, very strong for us. And then third vertical, Ron, I think that we're very strong in is healthcare. We have all the compliance that you would need around HIPAA, for example, in healthcare. So those are probably the top three verticals that we see a lot of success in. But to your point, you start taking a look at these larger organizations, and they're starting to have some of the same use cases as we have seen with education, that I have my IT help desk. They can't physically go places now. And even if, they had the ability to do so, you look at it how we used to do business, right? That IT help desk guy or girl would be in the office 8 to 5. They had to drive from point A to point B and back. Are they just more productive now working from home, right? Because 39% of employees polled here recently actually said, if I have to go back to the way it was, I'm not going back to work. And 75% of workers these days across our verticals are saying, I demand and expect a much more robust hybrid work environment for me.
Yes. The only one who probably isn't excited about that is real estate firms who are looking at lots of offices that are changing. But actually, it does bring up an interesting point, because as many office locations, as you indicated, individuals say, I'll go to the office 3 days a week, not 5. And plus, when they go to the office, they no longer have a set desk. So they might be connecting over the Wi-Fi, it could be 5G. So I would imagine that some of the same protocols that you're using when people connect at their home, even as they go back to the office, a lot of the Splashtop capabilities may be deployed even at your quote unquote headquarters office, because you still need that same secure endpoint, that same guarantee that there's not any malware threats emerging through your connectivity. And that can now be in an office, because you're no longer going to this desk in this corner of the 3rd floor that's got a hardwired connection through this specific jack going to this specific server.
Yeah, 100%. And the other asterisks I would say to that, Ron, and this is not the slight VPN, is a technology many organizations have used prior to maybe the last 18 months for remote access, remote connectivity. We definitely have advantage technically, and there's definitely some merits we can discuss later around Splashtop versus VPN. But the one comment I'll make now around VPN. VPN, again, great technology for the world we lived in 5-10 years ago. But now the 60% of employees are actually bringing multiple devices to the corporate network, right? So the use case I like to share is this. Let's just say you're a student or an employee and you're connecting to the VPN and you have work to do, but someone's watching Netflix. Now the VPN is slow. We don't have those issues with Splashtop, again, from a technical nature. So again, we're not only seeing advantages with our customers around remote access, remote help desk, remote workforce, distance learning, but also now as a replacement to legacy VPN technology.
Got it. The other thing, and I've heard that in a couple of your comments, is the performance benefits that you get from the Splashtop software. When people are on-prem and they've got a high-powered CPU, workstation, PC, it seems like, and maybe you could expand upon this, that with Splashtop, even if they're using a Chromebook or a PC, you're still able to replicate that performance even on a remote situation, allowing for bandwidth considerations in different hardware.
Yes. Totally accurate, Ron. You could not explain it any better than you did just then. So, again, I think there's many positives with Splashtop, but I think when you take a look at us and some of those in our space, we have significant performance advantage, just the way we go to market, right? And if you're a typical VPN connection, and by no means am I super technical, but a typical VPN connection, and you're opening, in a sense, the floodgates to everyone to have access to that. With Splashtop, we have the ability to maybe give that access or maybe just give them view capabilities, which also lends into security and how we actually have handled security. And again, we've built Splashtop from the ground up with security in mind. So again, for us, we always try to stay ahead of, the cyber threats that, continue to rule our world, most notably ransomware. So again, the way that we have architected our solution is definitely performance advantages over VPN for sure. But secondly, when you start taking a look at the security around traditional VPNs and continual hacking that we're seeing, the way we've gone to market is we've been able to mitigate a lot of those security risks as well.
And how are you able to do that? Is there anything you can discuss at a high level without revealing anything confidential?
Yeah, I would say the two main things that we do really from a security access, remote access, are dual factor authentication, if I can say that correctly. So 2FA is definitely something we have built in. And then we also have the ability to do single sign-on as well.
Got it. Now, as people are listening to this or looking to the future, I would imagine that everyone's got some combination. There's a VPN, they might have VDI, they might have thin clients, they might have this endpoint protection. There are all these different features and functions and vendors out there where Splashtop plays with. Would you be able to, when people listen to this and they go, okay, like everyone's got something going on for secure remote access, everyone is doing something around remote desktop management. Can people contact you, or can they go to splashtop.com where they can get some kind of assessment on their existing infrastructure, where once they hear about this and they could share with you, here's our current solutions, you could lay out, okay, here's our technology complements what you have originally. Here's where we might be able to replace some more expensive and less efficient technologies, and lay out a scenario for how you can help an end user build a flexible, secure, remote workforce, or I should say flexible workforce, where you can let the employees be incredibly productive wherever they are while saving money, eliminating threat vulnerabilities, all those good things.
100%. And again, the nature of Splashtop is here in 2021, we are going forward in a channel motion. But again, very, very happy that we do have a very experienced sales team. We have 3 different sales teams that handle different customer size verticals, all these different things. And we do these assessments day in and day out, really taking a look at what can we actually keep on the floor. One unique advantage of Splashtop, we also can deliver our software on-prem, should that be a requirement for the customer, maybe around the security of that. But yes, we can work with Citrix, we can work with Azure, we can work with Amazon. In some of those cases, we can do some of those replacements. We also have very good integration with people like Datto, people like Freshworks, people like ServiceNow. So again, when you start taking a look at your fuller picture of how am I going to securely give my customers and my employees the same access as they would have sitting, inside the four walls, Splashtop is definitely part of that conversation.
That's great. So we're looking forward to having Justin and his team present at Angelbeat events. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. When you listen to the event or you hear Justin speak at one of our live Angelbeat events, we will also share with you. We're not going to do it now. Got to provide a little incentive for the future as to how I came up with the name Angelbeat for a technology event company. And Justin can share with you how the founders at Splashtop came up with their name for the best secure remote access software solution out there. But that's a little takeaway, a little teaser. You got to ask us a question. You can follow at splashtop.com. I'm assuming the hashtag is splashtag across various social media platforms as well, Justin?
Yep, 100%.
Got it, as well as hashtag Angelbeat. I'll look forward to seeing everyone out there. Always exciting for me to learn about experts like Justin. Congratulations on joining Splashtop. Seems like a very solid career move. We'll look forward to watching you progress, and thanks again for your time today.
Excellent. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for having me.